In this video, we are going to go over the congruent supplements theorem and the congruent complements theorem. The congruent supplements theorem is the third theorem we're going over in this geometry series, so I'm going to name it T3. And T3 states that if two angles are supplements of the same angle, then they are congruent. Let's look at a picture of this so that we understand what the theorem is saying. Here I have some angle C. Angle A is a supplement to angle C. And angle B as well is a supplement to angle C. That means that A and C add up to be 180 and C and B add up to be 180. So these two angles are supplements of the same angle. And since they're supplements of the same angle, they're congruent. And that's what we're going to prove for this theorem. So I have my two columns set up. So here we have that angle A is supplementary to angle C and angle B is supplementary to angle C. And that is given. Two angles that I named A and B are supplementary to the same angle, angle C. So what exactly does it mean if you have a supplementary angle? Based off the definition of supplementary angles, we have that the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle C equals 180, and the measure of angle B, since it's supplement to C, so plus the measure of angle C, is also equal to 180. Now let's go ahead and use substitution, which was one of the properties of equality. Since the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle C equals 180, we can substitute that in for the next 180 in the other equation. So now we're going to have that the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C equals the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle C. And that was because of substitution. Next, we have that the measure of angle B equals the measure of angle A by the subtraction property of equality. Remember, we can take away the measure of angle C from both sides. So when we subtract the measure of angle C from this side and this side, we're left with the measure of angle B equal to the measure of angle A. And that's how we got to step 4. And finally, step 5. Angle B is congruent to angle A. And that's because of the definition of congruent angles. If two angles are equal in measure, then they are congruent. And that is what we needed to prove. That if two angles are supplements of the same angles, then they are congruent. Angle B is congruent to angle A. So the two angles that were supplementary to the same angle are congruent. Now let's go over the congruent complement theorem. The congruence complements theorem will be T4, and it says that if two angles are complements of the same angle, then they are congruent. Again, drawing a picture. We have angle C, and we have some angle A that's a complement to C. And we also have B that is a complement to C as well. So that means that A plus C is equal to 90 degrees and B plus C is equal to 90 degrees. So we have to show, so based on this theorem, A and B are congruent. Let's go ahead and prove that. So first of all, we have that angle A is complementary to angle C, and angle B is also complementary to angle C, and that's given. We have two angles, A and B, that are complements of the same angle, angle C. So because of the definition of complementary angles, we can say that the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle C equals 90 degrees, and the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C equals 90 degrees. So instead of using substitution for this next step, I'm going to break it up and use the reflexive property and then the transitive property. So for the reflexive property, we're simply flipping the second half. So we're saying that 90 degrees is equal to the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C. And we can do that because of the reflexive property. And then from there, we can look and directly see that from the transitive property of equality, we will get that the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle C equals the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C. That we have A and then a B equal to a C. Using this whole expression as A, this number as B, and this expression as C. Next, we can say that the measure of angle A equals the measure of angle B by the subtraction property of equality if we subtracted the measure of angle C from both sides. And then angle A is congruent to angle B by the definition of congruent angles. And now our proof is complete, because we needed to show that if two angles are complementary to the same angle, then those angles are congruent.